And good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. Cool this morning, but it is shorts weather.
Oh my God!
Because I'm on vacation.
It's like, holy cow, dude! Rub a banana.
Keever got one of those
banana
when we were at Aspen Street Grill eating last Saturday morning.
Did he?
Keever got one of those and had to get up and walk around.
Oh, bless his heart. Nothing worse than
I get them at night.
or night cramp.
I get them at night.
Oh, you do?
And I've
yeah,
been taking 300 milligrams of magnesium.
Yeah, that'll help.
That helps.
That'll help. Yeah, it will. The magnesium's good for you anyway,
this,
right?
This,
take a little
this
bit
getting
every day.
old stuff is just, it's not.
Well, you're not old. You're like fine wine. You're aged.
I'm in my birthday month. Yeah, I am old. I'm in my birthday month.
Every day's a birthday for Laney.
No, it's not.
Being married to Kim.
Yeah, okay. Love you, honey. Mean it. Let's see what is going on. Great news yesterday. Great news. The kid that got hurt is making tremendous progress. And the biggest thing in one of the releases that I saw that really resonated with me was when they said, and this is neurologically intact, which means there was no brain damage. That was the thing that concerned me the most.
And I think that was, just because of the events, I think that was the thing that was really weighing on everyone is he going to be able to make a recovery from this?
Yeah. And the Bills-Bengals contest will not resume. Okay?
So
they've made a decision now that he's making progress. Monday's game was suspended, okay?
Right.
And it's been a difficult week, Commissioner Goodell said. We continue to focus on the recovery of Damar Hamlin and are encouraged by the improvements of his condition as well as tremendous outpouring of support and care for the family.
No doubt.
In announcing the decision to cancel the game, the NFL cited three key factors. The outcome would have no bearing on which team qualified for postseason. Playing the game would have altered the playoff schedule for the remaining teams, and not playing the game would allow all clubs to know the postseason possibilities before the start of Week 18.
Right.
And that's what they're after.
That's
consistency.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Things happen.
I was fine with the scenario that you mentioned that might happen.
Yeah.
Because we were thinking about several different possibilities. But I'm okay with this, because of the fact that, how does it impact the final standings? Does it impact the seeding? That's good. This was thought out. This is good.
Buffalo entered the week tied with Kansas City for the best record in the AFC, but held the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Right.
Cincinnati trailed both teams by one game, but would have held a three-way tiebreaker with a win over the Bills.
Okay.
The Bengals, now the AFC North champions, beat the Chiefs in Week 13 in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Because of the canceled game, the league owners will vote today.
Okay.
They need 24-32, three-fourths majority, to approve on scenarios approved by the competition committee on Thursday that involve a neutral site for an AFC Championship game.
Okay.
Meaning that number one seed doesn't get a home field advantage for the championship game. It'll be a neutral site. Because they can't come up with one. Yeah.
Okay.
If Buffalo and Kansas City both win or tie, the Bills-Chiefs championship game would be at a neutral site.
Okay.
If Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Baltimore wins or ties, then the Bills-Chiefs championship game will be at a neutral site.
Okay.
Buffalo and Kansas City both lose. Cincinnati wins. Bills or Bengals versus Chiefs championship game will be at a neutral site.
Sure.
Neutral sites have not been determined. The seeds will hold up throughout the playoffs. If Buffalo and Kansas City both win this weekend, the Chiefs will get the bye.
Okay.
If Buffalo wins, Kansas City loses, the Bills will be the number one seed and get the bye, and no neutral sites would come into play.
Yeah, sure. So this is well thought. I mean, and you expect this.
And why would this not be approved?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's in the best interest
if
of
the Ravens
emotional
win
health of all the players too.
And are matched against Cincinnati in an AFC wildcard game, the site will be determined by a coin flip.
And that's fair. And that's fair.
Cincinnati wins, or if the two teams are not matched against each other after a potential Ravens win, regular scheduling procedures will go into effect.
This is really well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, it said says the proper process for making rule changes is in the offseason. It's not appropriate to put teams in a position to vote for something that may introduce bias, favor one team or another.
Right.
So there's no perfect solutions, what Goodell said, and he's correct.
Yeah, but
come as close as you can. And this is what he said. Yeah. As we consider the football schedule, our principles have been to limit disruption across the league and minimize competitive inequities.
That's great.
What else could you do?
That's great.
Yep.
And this is one of those things that, that they will talk about in the offseason and put something in place for it going forward. But at a moment's notice like this has been, this is I got to tell you, I kind of look, everybody tells you the reasons you should do something. I'm kind of the guy that likes to look at the reasons you shouldn't, measure the risk and then maybe decide to proceed or step back and reevaluate. Mm-hmm. This is well thought out on a 360 view. Okay?
Well, and the biggest thing that he did is they took into consideration everybody that would be affected.
Yes,
and that's what you do.
And they have, and the league overall.
And here you go.
You see what I'm saying? This is a good solution.
Bengals coach Zach Taylor said the team was preparing to face the Ravens as the league mulled the future of the Bills-Bengals contest.
Yep.
And I don't think either team wanted to go back and try to replay that game.
I think you kind of let that just go ahead and go, and
even from the mental side.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. I tell you, Laney, that's this is well. I mean, it's a professional organization. Even though we may agree or disagree at times with, I guess, things is a good way to put it there, with what's going on. In light of this situation, there's a lot of good that has come from this, I say tragedy, this very unfortunate event. The fact the young man's getting healthy
mm-hmm.
or is projected to be healthy and, it's just nothing but good news coming from a bad thing that's happened. But also there's a little bit of a rallying cry on why. And again, we're in the show talking about opinions, okay? And I'll give you mine.
That's correct.
I think it's very important if you, wish to pray or pray with people
mm-hmm.
before a contest for health and safety, moment of silence to do what you know what I'm saying? I really believe that this is one of those moments that helps us reflect on truly what's most important and addressing the matters most important to the individual person so the collective group can gather strength from each other.
Sometimes we forget about what the proper priorities should be.
We get a little emotional about stuff that are other people's narratives and agendas. And, we tend to be riled up or angry or passionate about something that when we really sit down and think about it, we maybe really don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's just based off what somebody else said or what they're telling us to do.
And what they're saying, the first thing that he said was, did we win? And the doctor told him, yes, you did. You won the game of life.
You're alive.
Yeah.
But that's true of a competitor.
That's correct. Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Or it's not inappropriate for him to ask that question because of the investment
mm-hmm.
that he has put into it.
That's correct.
And the investment that he puts into other people based off of the results and the success that he has on what he does and is able to share with others through his charitable, acts and gifts.
Milton Milton suggested D3 is another cramp fighter.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. It's good. Yeah.
Milton, good morning.
Todd,
good morning. Good. Todd wonders if the NFL called the NCHSAA for help on trying to decide the best way to handle it.
Todd's going to get my narrative thing riled up.
He's already getting started here early. What can I say?
That's fantastic.
Yep.
That's the thing about Todd, though. He's very, very intelligent. He really is, and he's smart, but he's intelligent too. But he's very witty. Like, we have the most fun with stuff that comes up, and then like, well, what about this? Then we start laughing. He's just really. He's a good guy. He's super. He's super.
But that's some of the best news that we've heard, and I think it'll make a difference with all players moving forward this week, being able to handle and this is still going to be in the back of their mind. Now, this is a story that I had not seen until today.
Okay.
Michigan under NCAA investigations.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh expects to stay.
Okay, so what?
They're investigating the program for alleged violations during the COVID-19 recruiting dead period.
Lord.
The violations include alleged impermissible contact with recruits during the NCAA mandated dead periods, as well as the use of a defensive analyst for on-field coaching activities, a rules violation. Harbaugh's cooperation with the NCAA enforcement staff during the investigation is also being examined. He could face penalties, including a multi-game suspension. Michigan has not received a notice of allegations from the NCAA, but could in the coming days or weeks. The NCAA has prepared a draft of notice of allegations to give Michigan, according to a source, that include a Level 1 violation for Harbaugh not complying with or misleading NCAA investigators. Level 1 violations are the most serious and can lead to harsher penalties. The draft also includes 4 Level 2 violations centered around impermissible recruiting contact. The violations are less serious and are ones Harbaugh was asked about by the NCAA enforcement staff. Bylaws. NCAA bylaws require head coaches to monitor their staff, maintain an atmosphere of compliance within the program. Athletic Director Ward Manuel, who was reached by ESPN, declined to comment. The Athletic and John Bacon first reported that Michigan's under investigation. Harbaugh, in response to reports about the potential return to the NFL, released a statement suggesting he will remain for a 9th season at Michigan. Now, here's the thing, and I've said this over and over. The NCAA needs to go.
I've had enough of
this. Because the presidents don't let them do anything anyway. Why do they get involved when they really can't do anything?
If I hear anything else about a COVID-19 dead period, or you know what? They destroyed opportunities. All right,
for young people,
for younger people, and we can sit back and say, well, yeah, but you're armchair quarterback, and no, I'm not. Okay, I'm evaluating. All right, I'm evaluating and making a statement, an opinion about something, that I think is factually based. Okay, based on my own experience with my own son and several other kids that have played in the last 2 years that are graduating or getting ready to graduate, and then the next class coming through. They turn around and granted everybody else an extra year, all right, only to try to keep kids in college so money can be paid for tuition. Okay, and they squandered opportunities for the higher level play of a lot of kids that are well deserving of the opportunity. Maybe they succeed or don't, but their chances are half baked like everybody else's. It's 50-50. This whole thing, the fact that the Big Ten was not going to play, and the players got together and wrote a note and said, we want to play, and then they started playing in November and gave them a few. This tells me that it's unbelievable. And yes, we went through a tough time, but history will tell us, when all of the truths come to light about things, just like they do in all crises and everything's the way they're handled, okay, really, we'll be able to judge that. But these things about, COVID-19 dead period, this, people were sitting at home, they weren't allowed to go anywhere. Now, which is, unbelievable, okay, to start off with. You think that to inform, to educate, to make recommendations would be the thing, not you go here, we're throwing you in jail. Really? Okay. But my point in all this is that these kids, by the rules of the higher nobility, opportunities were destroyed, games were lost, opportunities to succeed or fail for life, for life-altering decision-making down the road, and opportunities that we come across through sport, interaction, whether you play or you're a part of it, you're still interacting in sports, and decisions are still being made on how you deal with things. When you get older, life comes up, you gain life experience. And to have it disrupted, by a set of rules that were absolutely reactionary instead of thought through, or you're told to do this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop.
Let me go one step further, and this is where I guess I put the NCAA and high school athletic associations, I won't be specific about that. I'll just say that in general. When you start pulling things like this out, what was the damage that was done to the athlete, to the kid? That's the part where, these associations, I thought, because they have no real power to do anything, I thought these associations were created to protect the athletes. Weren't they? Wasn't that to make sure that the athletes were treated properly? And
I think it's to make sure that that there is a standard set across the board, which there's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that it's there to put in a regulatory body, which it's not really, to monitor the process and progress of programs, how things are being administrated, and to your point, to make sure that signs of abuse or instances of abuse were negated or eliminated, or pretty much at such a small number that it maintains the health and safety of the athletes and all those that are involved in in these programs and situations, how they train, what they're allowed to eat, what they can take through testing. And you remember all these things too, right? Mm-hmm. Because it really started ramping up about the time you were in, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Roids were making their appearance.
And you know what I mean, because of the Olympic weightlifting and then the benefits of – but to your point, I think you're 100% right. But I think sometimes having too many rules is – a lot of times rules justify jobs.
Sometimes it looks like they're hunting for something to have something to do.
Right.
I mean,
it's kind of like people that are always meeting to meet and not ever getting anything done.
And the other side of it is they don't have enough staff to monitor all the stuff they talk about. I'll go back and I'll give this example. When I came out in 81, when Clemson went under investigation, I got a call from the NCAA that they wanted to meet with me because I left early. I said, I'll be happy to meet with you, but I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I met with an NCAA investigator out of Kansas City, came to my office. I was working, came to my office. We talked, and I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, if Clemson hadn't won the national championship, if Clemson was 6-5, you wouldn't be here.
That's exactly
I said,
right.
I said, everybody does it. He said, what do you mean? I said, I told you before you came, I have nothing to tell you. I said, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that Alabama and Texas and Notre Dame and Southern Cal are running clean programs that are doing things less than what Clemson did. I said, but you needed to make an example because they weren't a national power. They shouldn't have won it. And I said, you're never going to convince me of anything else. I said, but I can tell you everybody does it, and I can tell you from personal experience, but you can't make me tell you what I'm talking about because you have no power.
That is a great – and I'm glad you did that. And that brings a great point up to all of this. Whether it be Clemson coming on the national scene and win the national championship, whether it be living in a small town or a large corporation or business, or even in our national political system, when the people that are most of the time in charge or do things or do this, anytime you have a disruptive force, such as a Clemson winning a national championship, all right, or an Arkansas, back in the I think 1990 win the NCAA in basketball, any of these things that are out of the norm for the perceived ones in power or that control things, when you start hearing a lot of screaming and a lot of this and you shouldn't have done that and investigating and all this stuff, then someone is breaking through whatever, I don't know if a glass ceiling is the right word, but breaking through and penetrating an area that people don't want penetrated.
That's correct.
By the way they react.
Whether it's politicians that are elected that they don't think should have been elected, so I'm going to dig deeper.
Right. I mean, just always, and that could be on a local level, a state level, national level. I mean, we see it all the time in the news, but, I mean, it's very true, though, in sports. There was a lot of things that was it UCF that went undefeated Is that right? There were some things that were brought up about, well, how did they do this? And we're looking into this because it's just out of the ordinary. It's not because of hard work, dedication, commitment.
Everybody is always skeptical that you got to where you got to doing the right thing because you've never been there before.
Yeah, nobility's at an all-time high when things are disrupted.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, we got to check this out, or this is not civil, or we got to – I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
And I'll go back to the other example. Do you remember – and I said something to Kiever and him about this, when Zion Williamson, he was set to sign with Kansas, and then at the last moment signed with Duke. And Kansas had put like $1.5 million on the table in NIL or whatever, or supposedly had been offered this amount of money, but he came to Duke. And then everybody wants to sit around and say, well, he just wanted to play for Coach K. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Bill Self's pretty good.
There's money. There's money stuff there.
Bill Self's pretty good too.
Yeah, there's money stuff there. When you see these kids reverse and change course
midstream, or late stream.
That's not because they've got a better major. They got a heck of an economic staff there that you get a great degree.
So to your point yesterday in our show, Bobby Petrino.
Mm-hmm. You think they won't watch him like a hawk, NCAA? Sometimes you do things that brings the spotlight on you that you don't need to.
And changing course like that at the last minute because it's a better paying job, obviously, to go to Texas A&M. Just like potentially things happened when players, and now the NIL money, but, before that. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. When I saw a headline, I get news breaks all the time, come across my phone, and I only saw the first of it in Texas coach fired. Okay?
Yeah.
I thought it was Sarkisian, whatever, because I just don't think he's going to make it there, but it was the basketball coach who had been charged with domestic violence.
Did you read that whole article?
Not all of it.
Oh, my goodness. There is a lot there.
Yes.
The girlfriend said, no, I said he did this, but then he didn't do these things. And then the universities had the ongoing investigation for a while, and they said, we just decided to separate and move on. Well, there was obviously some type of altercation, okay?
What are you saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, there's a lot of inconsistencies with what was told that night. Now, this is in the article I read. And then what has now come to light, and how quickly, even after the events happened, the next day the story started changing. But what that man, it's just wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
and
different.
The fact they kept bringing up, well, he coached for Bobby Knight at Texas Tech. So, it's almost like it was an insinuation that, Knight used physical activity a couple of times, maybe more, we don't know, with players or whoever. And so it's all like, well, he did this. He coached for Bobby Knight, so automatically he's going to do these things. It's kind of like assimilation. We say don't judge people, not we. You hear that a lot. Let's let everything come to light. But then in situations, they end up being judged. It's kind of like things that go on, whether it be local on a national level. People start jumping on stuff and talking about things that they have no idea what they're talking about and making opinions.
Richie said they fired him with cause. Well, that gets him out of the money.
No, that's right.
They don't have to pay him.
And Richie's right. That's what the article said that I was reading.
And Milton said Harbaugh must have pissed somebody off.
He did. He finished second.
Yeah. And Todd, all rules and policies that organizations come up with, God only needed 10. There you go.
And you know what's amazing?
And then when you hit the New Testament, he didn't need that many.
Gets close, brother.
Just saying. Let's see. Beard, the coach, Richie said Beard also had some issues with alcohol.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I got squeezed in a couple final thoughts. You got anything? Because my phone, I want to say my phone won't quit. I've kind of got a few little work crises going on my day off, which doesn't matter.
No,
that's why I'm retiring.
So.
They just can't work that out. I can't think of anything else that I need to kind of update you on at the moment. Those are the big breaking stories.
I got your message.
There you go.
I had to
shut
my phone down and cut it back on. I couldn't even get calls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I had texted him earlier and said, I don't know if we could do this or not. Let me see.
I'll show up anyway.
a couple things left, I guess. Some of these make it in the league. Tua shut him down for a year.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Or,
I don't know if you saw this. One final thing. Did you see the clip zeroed in? It zoomed in on him, and he's laying there, and he can't move his fingers. Did you see that? I mean, he was incapable. And now there's stuff that people say was a concussion that the Dolphins called a back injury.
A lot of it, you can diagnose things, but because I don't know, I've never accused him of that. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's say that you are at your job and you have an accident at work out. Mm-hmm. It could put your future in jeopardy from working that job. Mm-hmm. So they come in, they say, okay, Lanny, tell us about your knee, where the fall occurred here at work, and you made your way off, but it was ibuprofen, and we want you to get an MRI. No, I'm okay, because you're so fearful that if you get put out of work, but in a year or two, are you still going to have the same value to the company because this is right or wrong? I'm saying this is a very likely real scenario.
Okay.
Obligation, responsibilities they feel they have and they've got to fulfill.
And I agree with you, but you knew there's a but coming. I agree with you, but I'm okay with you making your own decision, okay, as long as it doesn't affect your production and how you perform at the job.
No, I completely
Is that
understand
okay?
that.
Now, let me tell you, and the reason I say that with Tua is because he could not remember the plays from the game.
Right. I mean, that's obviously an issue.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And it's the same thing. Like, I don't even you can have an MRI that shows damage, but that doesn't mean you can't do what you need to do. And as long as you can perform your job, I'm okay with that.
Well, think of it like this too, Laney. People, I think there's evidence that, smoking, is probably, witnessed. People on oxygen tanks, and for health and safety, even though people are passionate about other people's health, the individual's like, well, I'm still going to eat these cookies. I'm still going to drink this beer or this, alcohol that is supposedly not good for me, okay? And I'm still going to go out here and then in the end, when the person has severe health problems and they have no money to pay for it, okay, they get put on government assistance, Medicaid, treat the things that they know they were doing wrong the whole time, all right? Whether it be in the NFL, in society alone, people have to take an end of organization. It's more than appropriate to set a standard and a set of rules because about how you feel or what's happened to you based on the fear of not being able to acquire the payment that you receive for services, all right, as long as you can, because you have other responsibilities. And I think there's a very narrow. If people were passionate about their own individual health and safety, instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing, then a lot more of these problems would be solved.
Are you okay with people being responsible for their own actions?
100%.
Okay. That's all.
And that's what I mean.
Because I'll tell you something that I suggested a long time ago. A long time ago.
It's on you in the end. It's on you.
This is what I suggested was if I rode motorcycles. I had one.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have the people that don't want to wear a helmet.
Yes.
Go to South Carolina, Florida, you don't have to wear a helmet.
Right.
I'm completely okay with that. Except if you need to sign a waiver with your insurance that if you sustain a head injury without a helmet,
right,
I'm not paying for that.
Right.
You sustain a head injury with a helmet, you did everything that you could possibly do, and we're going to take care of it.
We're allowing you.
But if you make a decision against advice that is proven to more times than not be advantageous than disadvantageous, then you need to be responsible for that.
Then that's the problem.
And that's where I come up with.
We write tickets to wear a seatbelt, okay, and I say aloud, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm talking about within the insurance confines, the constraints, to be insured. I mean, there's a lot of things here, in my opinion, The seatbelt thing is not for your safety. It's because the insurance companies have run number belts according to this many accidents. Yeah, they could be worse. Seatbelts could be worse in certain accidents, but they also could save lives and other injuries where you're dealing with chest issues and real soreness instead of head issues on steering. You know, I'm saying they're not doing it because they care about your health and safety. They're doing it, and that's maybe not true.
They're doing it for their wallet. I mean,
doing it
I'll
because
say it.
of the
I don't
number
mind.
insurance. You know, we're helping people get insurance. There is how long you're going to live.
And they don't miss it bad. I mean, because there's enough research, because numbers don't lie.
The thing is that, you know, everything has to be forthcoming. I'm not saying he's not. Anything we do, you know, is on us. And we really can't control other people for what they do. And you really can't control what that kid does. You can have it, but you really can't control it. You know, when you come to the world, it's on you. When you leave, it's on you.
That's right.
And you got to make sure when you leave, when it's on you, that you got things centered as much as possible, you know, for the meeting to come.
I agree. No,
you
I
see
agree.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's, I'm not sitting here preaching. I'm definitely not put on just being centered and doing the right thing for the right reasons. And when you introduce people say you should have like 3 legs on your stool. You know, in my opinion, you should have one really thick one like you used to have in old barbershops. You know, which is the things you believe, the values you have, and then everything else like your health and for that. But if you don't have this part centered, and
you can't disconnect all the things that have an effect on who you are and what you do. They're all intertwined and related. They have to be connected.
And imagine due to their abilities and what they can produce, and rightfully so. It's remarkable what, Major League Baseball, these guys, you see what I'm saying? And you've got to make sure that things are centered. So when you do deal with things like that, you can persevere and move on to the next chapter phase.
You're correct.
And we're all a big deal. And the passion that I see from a lot, if they would be passionate about their own house in order and spend time focusing on that, then there would be a lot less problems for our government and us as communities to address. You can't have a positive effect on anybody if you don't have your own situation in order. But yet we have a lot of people that don't have their situations in order. They're out screaming or, out doing this, that, or the other about things when, they're not contributing in the way that they need to be, whether it be for themselves, their families, or society in general. So, take us to the next level. Get rid of the crap. Let's have a true, meaningful conversation about what's actually going on.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've got to go have a meaningful conversation with people that don't know how to have a meaningful conversation because my phone won't quit blowing up. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Monday night we'll be here, as far as I know. Juju will be back in the house. You're welcome. Come join us as well.
Thank you, brother.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Flip over to the other screen, and then I'll go nurse problems for the rest of the day. What a wonderful vacation.
Why is it just a South